For a sniper, most of his life is spent waiting. Coast of Somalia. In the mountains where the fog has gradually disappeared, people at the foot of the mountain are sparsely walking through the deserted morning market, and no one feels anything strange on the mountain. In fact, even if you look up, you won't be able to spot it, because that bit of disguise is really to the extreme. If you can walk in and take a closer look, you will find a patch of grass protruding from the grass. Inside the grass is a black barrel. Further up the barrel is the latest domestic optical sight. The eyes behind the scope are bloodshot. No one knows how long this man has been lurking. His head turned slightly to the side of the wireless communication beside his collar, and his chapped lips moved. Report to the headquarters. This is Dark Iron number 9. Everything is normal. The target has not yet appeared. Over. Then, he still monitored the morning market with bloodshot eyes. The body is like a rock. Although I have long been accustomed to this boring lurking, my thoughts sometimes fly out on their own, and occasionally I think of the moment that changed my destiny. Spring 2002, Juji Sondahol. Ouyang Mo swept the opponent down with a low whip kick. As soon as the opponent got up, Ouyang Mo made another low sweep. The opponent hurriedly stepped back, and Ouyang Mo followed closely, hitting the opponent in the face with a high whip kick. A clean knockout. The students sitting around below burst into applause. One student turned his head and whispered to another student, "This is already the 6th kicker that Coach Ouyang has knocked down." Ouyang Mo went to wash his face, and just then, his cell phone rang. He answered the phone and said a few words with a look of embarrassment on his face and a trace of unconcealable joy. After hanging up the phone, he hurried over and knocked on the director's door. The voice inside said, "Please come in." Ouyang Mo opened the door and went in. He didn't say anything and looked embarrassed. The curator in the room is sitting on a chair. He is a middle-aged man with a tough face. Seeing Ouyang Mo's embarrassed look, he frowned and said, "Ouyang, you don't have to speak. I'll know what you're going to do as soon as you stick your butt out. Do you want to ask for leave again?" Ouyang Mo laughed hee-hee and said, "This time is really something. The school organized a sketching trip to an ancient town in Anhui. Graduate students must go." The curator looked at Coach Ouyang, who had a hippie smile and a fair face, but he was already quite old. He sighed helplessly and said, "I really don't know the use of going to school. After you finish your bachelor's degree and get your master's degree, you'll be almost 30. Ouyang Mo was not embarrassed after hearing this and argued, "I did it to further develop in academia." Before he could finish, the curator interrupted him, knocked on the table and said, Ouyang, tell me how many times you have asked for leave in the past 2 months. You asked for leave for your mother's birthday. You asked for leave for school. You asked for leave for the civil service exam. Oh, by the way, have you passed the civil service exam?" Ouyang Mo said with a smile, "No chance. If you don't have money and no one, what's the point of taking the exam? That means the focus is on participation and expanding domestic demand. If I pass the exam, can I trouble you here?" The curator was so amused by this sentence that he couldn't hold back his laughter. Said, "Okay, please, for the sake of you constantly dealing with Lai Kicken, I will go into battle in person first and lead the students to train, and you can go crazy. By the way, how many days will you ask for this time?" Ouyang Mo had already stepped over the threshold, turned around and said, 1 month. With a swish, he disappeared. When the curator heard this, he almost fell off his chair with an "oh." Ouyang Mo was sitting on the bus, talking and laughing with his classmates, very excited. He had long been looking forward to going out to sketch. It's not out of love for art, but because I can have more contact with a girl in my class, even though she already has a boyfriend. While Ouyang Mo was joking, he secretly glanced at Zhang Li in the left row. Zhang Li was talking quietly with her female classmates with her head down, secretly laughing from time to time, and didn't notice the secret gazes of others at all. Ouyang Mo felt a little depressed in his heart. Arrive at the ancient town in the afternoon. From the time we took the bus at 9 o'clock in the morning until now, everyone's stomachs are growling with hunger. The teacher who led the team was too hungry to eat, so he took more than 20 students to a restaurant in the ancient town. Ouyang Mo took a look and thought, Qingfeng wine shop. The names are all antique. The teacher leading the group said that this is the largest restaurant in the ancient town. The room is very large. all made of wooden tables and chairs, imitating the ancient style. Ouyang Mo joked with his classmates that the tourism economy is doing well. More than 20 people sat at 4 tables. The food came quickly. Everyone was very hungry, and they didn't even taste the food cooked in this ancient town restaurant, so they just tried their best to put food into their mouths. While Ouyang Mo was chewing his mouth full, he felt a little regretful. Why didn't he and Zhongli sit at the same table? Ouyang Mo turned his head to peek at Zhongli again, but before he could turn around, there was a loud clang sound, which scared him so much that he almost jumped up from the bench. Everyone was shocked. Everyone raised their faces full of food and saw 4 men with fierce looks kicking open the door and walking in. Each of them had a shiny black gun in his hand. The students were shocked by what happened at this moment and didn't know what was going on. Everyone stopped eating and stared blankly at the 4 people who entered the restaurant. The teacher leading the team stood up immediately. Before he could ask, a man carrying a bag pointed a gun at him and shouted viciously, "Sit down and shut up. Anyone who dares to move will be killed immediately." The teacher sat down immediately. A group of people looked at the 4 guys with guns in horror. No one dared to move. Ouyang Mo sat in a daze, his heart frightened to the extreme, and he no longer had the intention to turn around and look at Zhongli. 2 men were in the lobby of the restaurant, pointing guns at them. The other 2 people went to the back kitchen and drove out the 3 chefs and several waiters, all of whom were carried into the restaurant lobby. Then have everyone squat against the wall with their hands on their heads. Ouyang Mo followed his classmates and squatted down against the wall. "Hold your head in your hands." Suddenly, what made Ouyang Mo feel extremely ironic was that Zhongli squatted next to him. Just as he squatted down, he heard the siren blaring outside. There was a commotion. A guy wearing jeans and holding a gun immediately fired a shot out of thin air. The sound was deafening. All the boys were frightened and their hearts thumped. Many girls were already frightened to the point of crying softly. The guy in jeans shouted, "Everyone, please stop moving. I will beat anyone who dares to move." After hearing the gunfire, the voice of the police outside came through the loudspeaker. "Listen to the robbers inside. You are surrounded. Don't hurt the hostages and add guilt to crime. Come out and surrender quickly and strive for leniency." The robber with the backpack hid behind the door and shouted outside, "Robbing a bank is already a death penalty. Surrendering is also a death penalty. We have 30 hostages in our hands now. Give us a bulletproof car and 4 submachine guns. From now on, if the car doesn't come, we will kill 1 hostage every 10 minutes. When the people squatting on the ground heard this, their hearts became extremely frightened. Ouyang Mo's squatting legs had begun to tremble. His palms were all sweaty. He never imagined that a plot he had watched countless times on TV could come to life in him so suddenly. At this tense moment, Ouyang Mo's thoughts were even a little blurry. He suddenly wanted to say a few words of comfort to Zhongli next to him, but he didn't dare. He began to miss the unkind-looking director of the Sonda Hall again, and now he felt that that face was so kind. The tense air even made him a little dizzy. The police outside were still shouting, and the robbers inside were also making demands and conditions. But Ouyang Mo couldn't hear anything clearly. He squatted there, his mind a little blurry, and his stomach was tense and cramped. He wished this was a nightmare, and he was about to wake up from it. He even couldn't wait to find the sense of relaxation after waking up from the dream. At this time, a bald robber suddenly pulled someone up and stood up, causing a small commotion among everyone. Ouyang Mo woke up immediately. He looked carefully and saw that the person who was pulled up was his classmate Zhang Chun. The robber pushed Zhang Chun directly to the door and put a gun against his back. Zhang Chun's face was deformed because of fear, and he said tremblingly, Don't. Bang sound. Zhang Chun fell at the door of the restaurant, covered in blood. Ouyang Mo stared at all this blankly, fear paralyzing his brain. He already felt like he couldn't think. Some timid girls couldn't bear it anymore and burst into tears. The robber with the backpack shouted, "Shut up. Anyone who dares to make a sound again will die now." After this voice shouted, the girls' howls turned into soft sobs. The police outside were shouting again, "Stop resisting and don't hurt the hostages. Come out and surrender as soon as possible and seek leniency." The robber with the backpack didn't answer. After a while, he shouted to the police outside, It's 10 more minutes. After saying that, he gestured to the bald robber, indicating that he would take out another hostage. The bald robber nodded. Holding the gun, he walked towards Ouyang Mo. Ouyang Mo's heart was beating wildly. He looked at the bald robber with a horrified look on his face, like a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. The bald robber came over and stopped beside Ouyang Mo. He stretched out his hand, but it wasn't Ouyang Mo he grabbed. What he grabbed was the head of Zhongli, who was squatting next to Ouyang Mo. Zhongli began to cry heartbreakingly. She shook her head desperately, trying to break away from the bald robber's hand, miserably shouting, "Let me go, let me go." The bald robber dragged Zhongli toward the door like a chicken, letting her face the outside world. Then, he pressed a black pistol against her back. Zhongli no longer struggled. She slowly turned her head around, her face full of sad tears. She glanced at the people behind her. Ouyang Mo knew that what she wanted to see at this moment was just one person, someone who has a crush on her. Ouyang Mo looked up. Looking at those sad eyes, there is resentment, reluctance, and helplessness. The slightest bond before death. There was a loud bang and Zhongli fell down. Blood everywhere. This shot allowed Ouyang Mo to complete the transformation from human to beast. Chapter 2: Trapped Beast. Zhongli fell down slumped before she even had time to cry out in pain. Ouyang Mo could not see her sideways face, which was still pretty, but with a pair of frightened eyes wide open. I will never die with my eyes in peace. As if asking the world, why no one came to save me. Ouyang Mo regarded all these questions from the world as her questions to herself. The robbers had a large number of hostages in their hands and were extremely concealed, leaving no sniping angle for the special police outside. The confrontation between the police and the robbers inside continued, and everyone was very nervous. No one noticed that Ouyang Mo had tears streaming down his face. But his expression was so ferocious. In order to maintain his composure, he had bitten off the tip of his tongue. He swallowed a mouthful of blood and told himself over and over again, "Don't be afraid. If there is any force in this world that can break the balance and surpass other forces, then this force is definitely hatred. The so-called sad soldiers will win. Hatred is not anger. Anger is just temporary anger, but hatred is unforgettable." Ouyang Mo's heart was already filled with hatred. From this moment on, he is no longer a graduate student, but an avenger. He relied on this strength to calm himself down. After looking around, a bold plan formed in his mind. If he fails, he will die. Ouyang Mo said to himself secretly. He slowly moved out and even raised himself slightly to make himself look more focused. Ouyang Mo now hopes that he will be the next hostage shot. The 10 minutes are up again. The bald robber came over to pick out the hostages. The others were already trembling with fear, squatting and squeezing into the corner as hard as they could. Only Ouyang Mo stepped out and was the closest to the bald robber. The bald robber glanced at Ouyang Mo, grabbed his head, and pulled him up. Without a word, she pushed him toward the door. The plan begins. Next is the most critical step. Ouyang Mo suppressed his frantic heartbeat. In fact, after experiencing many storms, you'll get used to it. When Ouyang Mo faced death again in the future, his heart would never be crazy again. The bald robber pushed Ouyang Mo forward. Before he reached the door, the robber's gun was not pressed against Ouyang Mo's back, and he was just pushing him away with his hand. Step by step, we are getting closer and closer to the door. The robber with the backpack was standing at the door. Ouyang Mo held his head in his hands and walked to his side. "It's too late, but it's soon," Ouyang Mo shouted to the side. Seeing that the situation was bad, the bald robber raised his gun and was about to shoot. But it was too late. Ouyang Mo had already walked around behind the backpack robber, holding a chopstick in his hand, and the front half of it had already penetrated the backpack robber's ear. It turned out that Ouyang Mo secretly picked up a stray chopstick from the ground and hid it in his hand. Since he kept holding his head and covering it with both hands, no one could see him. The backpack robber naturally didn't think this man could do anything to resist, but he was wrong. When Ouyang Mo walked up to the backpack robber, he lowered his head and ducked behind him. He tightly strangled his neck with his left arm and stabbed his ears and holes with the chopsticks in his right hand. When the backpack robber wanted to raise his gun and shoot, it was already too late. He had already felt something strange coming from his ears. 3 pistols were pointed at Ouyang Mo at the same time. Ouyang Mo shouted, "Don't move. Anyone who dares to move will be stabbed to death with a chopstick." The chopsticks have already reached the eardrums, and if they poke further down, they'll go straight into the brain. The backpack robber naturally knew what was at stake and immediately shouted, "Don't move, don't shoot." Ouyang Mo was ready early in the morning. It makes sense that he would pick a backpack robber to target. First, he was standing by the door, which was convenient for him to start. Second, when the gang of robbers shouted to the police that robbing a bank is already a capital crime, they concluded that the backpack on the backpack robber contained the money to rob the bank. Well, this backpack robber is the boss. Now the first step has been successful. He hijacked the boss. Ouyang Mo has already thought about what to do next. If they surrender, which is impossible, the 3 robbers will at most kill Ouyang Mo and the boss. Then there is only one way to go. This road leaves you with only a glimmer of hope. The robber boss with the backpack was indeed a villain who had done all kinds of bad things, and he didn't panic at this point. On the contrary, he asked calmly, "What do you want? If you want money, there is plenty here. You can take it as you like." Ouyang Mo sneered, "Save this money for you to buy toilet paper for wiping your buttocks later. If you don't want to die, release all these hostages. I'll stay. I'll be a hostage myself." The other 3 robbers immediately shouted, "Boss, we can't let him go. This is a bargaining chip for us to negotiate with the police." The backpack robber rolled his eyes, but did not dare to move his body and said, "You saw it. Even if I agree, my brothers will not agree." "Oh." Ouyang Mo gently turned his chopsticks with his hands, and the backpack robber immediately felt an indescribable feeling coming from deep in his ears, reaching straight to his heart. Ouyang Mo sneered and said, "The worst-case scenario is that we all die together." At the edge of the brain, there is a chopstick. If he were stabbed further forward, his death would be worse than being shot. Cold sweat was already streaming down the backpack robber's face. Ouyang Mo then said something, which completely destroyed the backpack robber's psychological defense. "If you release the hostages, you may die. If you don't release the hostages, you will die now." As he said that, he twirled the chopsticks that were about to move. The backpack robber immediately issued an order, "Release all hostages, immediately." The other 3 robbers had no choice but to yell at the hostages, "Get out." The hostages crawled out and looked gratefully at Ouyang Mo when they passed the door. Ouyang Mo stared closely at the robber in front of him, not daring to relax at all. Ouyang Mo's classmates sobbed and carried the bodies of Zhang Chun and Zhang Li out. As soon as he went out, he was surrounded by police and 120 people and picked him up. The second step has been successful. Next, take the third step. The backpack robber said, "The hostages have been released. What else do you want?" Ouyang Mo laughed grimly and said, "It's too dangerous here. The SWAT sniper rifles will hit us at any time. Let's retreat inside." After saying that, he hijacked the backpack robber and moved in step by step. The other 3 robbers did not dare to be careless and followed closely behind, with 3 pistols pointed at Ouyang Mo at the same time. The further you retreat, the further back you go. Several people restrained each other and actually retreated to a room at the back of the restaurant. Of course, Ouyang Mo led them back in. Ouyang Mo said to the backpack robbers, "Let them close the door and lock it." The boss ordered, and the 3 robbers had no choice but to comply. Then, Ouyang Mo stopped talking. The backpack robber asked anxiously, "What on earth do you want to do?" Ouyang Mo chuckled, "You'll find out later." Suddenly, a robber took a sniff and exclaimed, "Gas? This is the kitchen." Ouyang Mo checked the position before entering the house and retreated to the gas tank. While telling the backpack robber to close the door, he secretly kicked off the plastic pipe on the gas tank. By the time the robbers discovered the air leak, the concentration was already very high. This is the 4th step of the plan. Ouyang Mo pretended to be helpless and said, "Everyone, please don't shoot. Once you shoot, the gas will explode. Let's finish playing together." The backpack robber became anxious and said, "What do you want to do?" Ouyang Mo shouted, "This is what it's like." With a strong movement of his hand, The chopsticks came out directly from the other ear of the backpack robber, with white brains hanging on them. When the other 3 robbers saw this, they shouted wildly, stuffed their guns into their waists, took out their daggers, and pounced on him. Ouyang Imo pushed the body of the backpack robber forward and hit the body of the robber rushing in front. Ouyang Imo took off his 2 shoes and threw them at the robber, standing there barefoot. His eyes were wide open with anger, his eyes were blood red, and he gritted his teeth and shouted, "You bastard! Let you know what the king of Sonda is." Chapter 3: The Horror of Sonda. Sonda is a national martial art in my country, which evolved from martial arts routines. There are 3 key points: kicking from a distance, hitting from close range, and throwing close to the body. In recent years, due to adaptation to overseas competitions, some Muay Thai techniques and Taekwondo kick techniques have been gradually incorporated into Sonda. Ouyang Imo has been fond of martial arts since he was a child, and followed his father to practice Sonda since he was a child. Later, he even entered a professional Sonda club to practice. When he was in college and graduate school, Ouyang Imo often used his spare time to coach at off-campus Sonda boxing gyms to earn some wages to supplement his living expenses. Ouyang Imo, who is now filled with hatred to the bone, faces 3 vicious robbers armed with daggers. Does he have any chance of winning? The 4th step of the previous plan has been completed. This is the final step, the step of revenge. That is, fight. The bald robber screamed and held a dagger and rushed towards Ouyang Imo. The other 2 were blocked by the corpse of the robber with the backpack, just now. They paused and fell behind the bald man. Ouyang Imo was already ready. When the bald robber rushed towards him, before he could swing out the dagger in his hand, Ouyang Imo stepped up and kicked the bald man on the chest like an arrow from a string. The bald head grunted, flew back 2 meters, and lay on the ground twisting and turning, with red blood foam oozing out of its mouth. With one blow, the bald robber's sternum was shattered. When boxers box, they wear gloves to protect the athletes. The thickness of the glove provides a buffer against powerful strikes. If you fight with bare hands and don't wear gloves, you can easily kill someone with just a few punches. As the saying goes, hands are like 2 doors, and you rely on your legs to hit people. The power of the legs is far greater than the power of the fists. Ouyang Imo took off his shoes and fought barefoot, just like a boxer without gloves, maximizing his attack power. The bald robber charged forward fiercely, and he kicked him sideways. The 2 forces combined into one. The bald man was lying on the ground, feeling as if his heart, liver, spleen, lungs, and kidneys were shattered. The other 2 robbers were shocked and did not dare to rush forward recklessly. The 2 people, one on the left and the other on the right, slowly became a flanking attack. Ouyang Imo didn't play strategies for them. He picked up a frying pan from behind and threw it at a jeans robber without thinking. The bottom of the pot is thick. How can a dagger block it? With just one click, the dagger that hit the jeans flew out. Seeing this, a robber with a crew cut behind him stabbed Ouyang Imo in the back with a dagger. Ouyang Imo's hands in front were holding a frying pan and smashing it on the head of the jeans robber, splashing blood on the bottom of the pot. He didn't care about the sneak attack from behind by the crew cut robber. When the robber with a flat head rushed closer, and before he picked up the dagger and stabbed him, Ouyang Imo didn't even look back. He kicked his right leg back and hit the robber's chin, knocking him out. The jeans robber here has collapsed on the ground, his head split open after being hit by a pan. Ouyang Imo threw away the pan, and then hit the jeans' throat hard with a backhand punch. With a chi sound, blood spurted from the mouth of the jeans and splashed Ouyang Imo's face. With just one punch, the life of these jeans was ended. Ouyang Imo turned his head, his face covered with blood and anger, like a demon from hell. The flat-headed robber was so frightened that only one of the 4 was left. He didn't care whether it would explode or not. He threw away the dagger and pulled out the gun from his waist to shoot. But how could it be as he wished? Before he could draw out his gun, Ouyang Imo rushed over with a lunge and swiped his low whip towards Flathead's knee. With a plop, the low whip force of this leg was so strong that it directly knocked the Flathead to the ground. Before the Flathead had time to draw his gun, his knee was severely injured, and he fell to the ground. Ignoring the pain, I stood up immediately. But it was okay if he didn't stand, but if he stood, he would die earlier. Ouyang Imo roared, and then whipped his leg hard, hitting Flathead's thigh. The flathead was kicked and staggered back. Ouyang Mo then used a dozen low whips in a row, making a snap sound, all of them hitting the same thigh of the flathead. The last kick swept Flathead to the ground again. For people who have been engaged in Sonda training for a long time, their muscles have been exercised and their strength has exploded, making each leg hit on the body as sharp as a steel whip. Therefore, the sweeping kick in Sonda is also called whipping kick. According to different heights, it is divided into 3 types: high whip, medium whip, and low whip. The flathead had been whipped for more than a dozen times and was already in great pain. He wanted to stand up and draw the gun again, but as soon as he stood up, he fell to the ground with a sound of oops and rolled around holding his legs. It turned out that the dozen or so low whips he had just kicked had broken his knees. Ouyang Mo rushed forward, locked Flat Two's body with his legs, locked Flat Two's neck with his left arm, and grabbed Flat Two's head with his right hand. The flat-headed man was so strangled that he couldn't breathe. He grabbed Ouyang Mo's arm with both hands and tried to pry it away from his head. But it seemed that what he caught was no longer an arm, but a piece of iron flesh with bulging veins. This is the most powerful move in the ground strangulation technique, Hell's Double Lock. There is no possibility of escape for those who are locked up. The flat-headed face became redder and redder, and he could no longer breathe. He used his nails to scratch out bloody streaks on Ouyang Mo's forearm. Ouyang Mo shouted loudly, stretched his arms hard, heard a click, flat-headed and kicked his legs, and stopped moving. The neck has been severely strangled. All 4 robbers fell to the ground. At this time, the concentration of gas in the room was getting higher and higher. Ouyang Mo was so angry just now that he didn't feel it yet. Now I feel fumed by the gas and have waves of dizziness. He walked to the kitchen door and tried to open it, but the door had been locked when the robbers came in. He smiled bitterly, raised his foot, and kicked the door out with a bang. The air suddenly felt fresh. The police outside had already rushed in. Ouyang Mo heard murmurings on the ground. He looked down and saw that the backpack robber who had kicked him in the first place was not dead yet, lying on the ground moaning in pain. Ouyang Mo bent down, grabbed the backpack robber, and walked out the door. The police have surrounded us with guns drawn. They saw that Ouyang Mo was covered in blood and dragging a robber out. They didn't understand what was going on, so they pointed their guns at him and shouted, "Stand where you are, don't move." Ouyang Mo turned his head and glanced at the police, pointed to the kitchen behind him, laughed miserably, and said feebly, "It's best not to shoot. There's gas behind him. It will explode if it catches fire." After saying that, he threw the backpack robber to the ground and sat on him. The policeman didn't know what Ouyang Mo was going to do, so he could only point his gun at him and kept shouting, "Don't move, squat down." Ouyang Mo was exhausted now, and he had inhaled too much gas just now, and he felt waves of dizziness. He didn't care about the police's command. He sat on the backpack robber, took a deep breath, and then shouted loudly. Ouyang Mo's straight punch hit the backpack robber hard in the face. Blood splattered everywhere. Many policemen exclaimed. I saw that the middle of the face of the backpack robber was dented. The nose bone was driven directly into the brain, killing him with one blow. Ouyang Mo stood up unsteadily, covered in blood. The policeman had begun to blur in his eyes. Ouyang Mo could no longer control his body and fell to the ground. Chapter 4: Hidden Troops. A burly man sat at the command table, saying nothing and smoking silently. He was wearing camouflage uniform, and his head was already gray-white. 2 vertical and horizontal scars sandwiched between a few light wrinkles added a bit of majesty to that square face. He looked in the direction of the door, as if waiting for something. Someone knocked someone. The visitor held a page of paper, saluted, and said, "Captain, the report you requested has been released." The regiment leader put out his cigarette, but took the report and read it over, frowning slightly. All the robbers died on the spot. The first one had his head penetrated with chopsticks, the second had his neck strangled, the third had his throat broken by a fist, and the fourth's nose bone was directly punched into his brain. The leader looked up at the person who came and asked, "Secretary Zhou, has this Ouyang Mo served in the military before?" Secretary Zhou, I have checked his information and files. Ouyang Mo has not served in the military, nor has he been exposed to any military training. He has been in school and is now studying for a master's degree. However, he has had Sonda training for a long time. Oh, the regiment leader said. Sonda training? Can you kill 4 robbers on the spot with your bare hands just by Sonda training? This is completely a battle-tested Special Forces combat style. Secretary Zhou paused and said, the 2 hostages shot dead by the robbers were both Ouyang Mo's classmates. There was also a girl among them. I have already investigated. Although there is no relationship between Ouyang Mo and the dead female classmate, according to Ouyang Mo's classmates, he may have other feelings for this girl. It's not clear. The group leader was silent for a while. Suddenly, he raised his head with a piercing look in his eyes, said, when he wakes up, bring him over to see me. Military Region 401 Hospital. This is an exclusive hospital for the military and is not open to the public. Ouyang Mo was running, and behind him were 2 bear-like beasts chasing him. He ran forward desperately, but couldn't run fast. He felt exhausted. Suddenly, Zhang Li walked out from the side with her head lowered. He shouted to Zhang Li, run quickly. There is a monster behind you. Zhang Li slowly raised her head, her face covered with black blood. She opened her mouth wide and screamed shrilly at Ouyang Mo. Ouyang Mo opened his eyes fiercely. The heart was beating rapidly. The sunlight outside shone through the curtains. It turned out to be a dream. Ouyang Mo touched his head and was already sweating profusely. He suddenly sat up, looking around. This seems to be a hospital, but why is she the only one in the ward? He murmured, where is this? The door opened with a stick sound. Secretary Zhou walked in. Ouyang Mo saw someone coming in and asked, where is this? Secretary Zhou said, this is the military hospital. You have been in a coma for 2 days due to excessive gas inhalation. Inhaling gas? Suddenly, what happened before suddenly became bright in Ouyang Mo's mind like lightning. Ouyang Mo asked anxiously, how are my classmates Zhang Li and Zhang Chen? Have they been revived? Secretary Zhou, it's a pity that they died on the spot. Ouyang Mo lowered his head. He had actually anticipated such consequences. However, he wanted to be lucky enough to be told by someone from outside that all his classmates were fine. Unfortunately, still disappointed. Secretary Zhou, 4 robbers were also killed on the spot. You killed them all. Ouyang Mo raised his head and faced Secretary Zhou. Yes, I remember. Secretary Zhou smiled slightly. This is a smart and courageous young man, although I don't know if he was like this before. Secretary Zhou, since you're awake, come with me now. Ouyang Mo didn't say much, got out of bed, and followed him out. Just when I was walking, I still felt that my body was light, and I was a little dizzy. Maybe it's because I slept for too long. Ouyang Mo thought. Ouyang Mo followed Secretary Zhou out of the hospital. Not far away, they entered another building. Secretary Zhou, please come in. Secretary Zhou opened the door, and Ouyang Mo saw a burly man with 2 scars on his face, sitting in the center of the room. Secretary Zhou, this is our Captain Tang. Ouyang Mo stood there blankly, neither moving nor speaking. He didn't know what to say, and he didn't know why he was brought to see Captain Tang. The group leader waved his hand, and Secretary Zhou went out. He and Ouyang Mo were the only 2 people left in the room. The leader asked Ouyang Mo to take a chair and sit down, and then said, you killed a robber who had lost the ability to resist in front of the police. You have committed manslaughter. Ordinarily, you will be sentenced. Ouyang Mo sat blankly, not saying a word. He didn't know what to say.